There's something special about loading a thing on a thing and then playing it on that thing. Panic co-founder Cable Sasser.
Do not quote me on that ever.
And speaking of loading a thing on a thing and playing it on the thing that you made the thing for, my thing is here. Huh? Oh, right, I already unboxed it. This is the Playdate. It's a little slice of cheese created by Panic Inc. And like every good slice of cheese, it has A-B buttons, a D-pad, and a crank. As soon as I saw this, I immediately thought of a fishing game, and so did everyone else apparently. And because everyone wanted to be original and not use their first idea, there are currently, at the time of writing, no fishing games. Now, I also thought that everyone was going to make a fishing game, so I didn't either. While there is now one fishing game, there's also 24 other games that come with it. You unlock 2 a week for 12 weeks, which is pretty cool. Personally, I was more interested in the development side of the Playdate, but I can't refuse free arthritis. They actually made 2 tools for game developers, one called Pulp, which is more beginner friendly, and I don't really like to use it, and the main SDK, which uses Lua or C code. Pulp uses a language called PulpScript, which is made to look more like English, but some parts of it feel weird to me since I'm used to something almost completely different. I get why it's like that, of course. It's far easier for the average human to read this, rather than... With that out of the way, it's time to log onto my computer and start programming. So... what to make? I know, this is Rocket Bytes. It's a game I made a little bit ago, and even though I originally made it for guitar, the original idea was for it to be on Playdate. So despite having little Lua background and having never used the Playdate SDK to make a game, I decided to jump right in with this. Should be fine, right? So, unlike for Rocket Bytes, the Playdate doesn't have a mouse, so instead I made it so the crank's rotation is mapped directly to the player's rotation. After I had that, and made it so that you can propel yourself forwards with the up or A button, I struggled for a really long time trying to figure out how to get the camera to move with the player. This is a good sign, but after many hours of struggles, I finally got it done. The player exists now. Hooray! Now all that's left to make is the rest of the game. Should be easy, so let's get to it. I started work on a tile map system. Basically, I want the game to be given a file, read through it, and use that to tell it where to place each tile in the game based on an X, Y, and a tile number I give it. I can also store other data in this file like the player's start position and where to put the obstacles. That's pretty cool, but where's the funny? So, a big part of Rocket Bytes are the obstacles. You know, the things that make the game fun. So you'll never guess what I did. I made the obstacles. Yeah. The moving saw blades were simple enough. I just used an animator to move it back and forth, which is pretty much identical to how it works in Rocket Bytes. The spinners though, that's more of a problem. You see, in Godot, I had these arms that all rotated around a central point. I used math to calculate where they went, and then the middle point just rotated and it moved all the arms with it. I can't do this in the Playdate SDK because I can't just link a bunch of sprites together and rotate them, so instead I have to do... Sorry, give me a second. Math. So, math. In order to get all these out to the right place, I have to do some funky stuff with sine and cosine to each saw blade. Because I'm doing this for every saw for every frame, it turns out that's not super performant, and it makes the game run like a turtle with broken legs that is dead. So how'd I deal with this? I just slapped on a little warning label and continued on with my day. I did try and optimize it, and after some interesting results, I made it slightly more performant by using the Playdate's arc system, but they're still not the best. I could just remove the spinners, but I couldn't remove them after all we've been through together. Sorry, that was weird. So now that I have most of the base Rocket Bytes stuff ported over, it's time to make something new. The game takes inspiration from Pulsario by Fred Wood, so I stole a thing from him and added these squares that you can collect. In order to enter the rocket, you have to have all the squares collected. They weren't too complicated to make, just have some squares, give them a collision, and if the player touches them, just make them disappear. You don't really need to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. You don't really need any special statistics at all to figure it out, actually. But here's where it all went wrong. The Playdate SDK released an update, and in that update, they made some changes to the tile map system. Those changes happened to completely break the way my game worked. Now, I did contact Panic, and they said they had fixed the bug. All I had to do was wait for the next update, which took a fair amount of time. Luckily though, I did find something to do. In case you didn't know, this is an iPod. I know, I couldn't believe it either. iPods play music. And you know what music doesn't need? That's right, tile maps. It goes full circle. So obviously, while I waited for the next SDK update, I worked on some music composition and turned the Playdate into an iPod. I tried to give it a super similar feel with the playback bar, cover art, and the time and battery shown in the corners. Basically, I tried to make it so there's no way to tell if you're using a Playdate or an iPod. No way at all. I was also making a level editor as I added new features, so I polished that up a bit. I also made some particles, which, unlike Unity or Godot, you have to code your own. There's no
Unity's particle system
here. That also means I'm in charge of making sure it doesn't lag out the Playdate, which is pretty cringe, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So one strategy I use to optimize the background star particles is I only have some in where the camera is. Then, when the camera moves and some go off screen, they move to the other side, making it look like there's infinite stars, when in reality there's only 30, and those are the only stars you'll ever see in your life as a rocket. The system actually kinda breaks when you go too fast, as discovered by a tiny yellow machine, but most levels are gonna have walls around the edges, so I'm gonna pretend that didn't happen. It still took a few days for the update to come out, so I decided to also host and create a game for Playdate Game Jam. I made this game where you use the crank to rotate around and collect items in a store, only because you've forgotten exactly what to look for, your goal is to collect everything in the store, because surely one of these items has to be what you need. Because I was messing with particles, guess what I did? No. How do you even think of that? I made some particles. I made these explosions, so I can just type explode and give it a position, and it does all the rest of the work, which I can't just go to waste, so I also brought that over to Rocket Bytes and modified them a bit to make a smaller version. Finally, a software update. I'm free. No longer must I be cursed to work exclusively on side projects. The first thing I did with this newfound freedom was to make all of the levels from Rocket Bits. And remember how I said the spinners aren't very performant? This is where I found that out, and I attempted to optimize them a bit. After that, I also finished up the level editor so you can pick from some music and design beautiful levels like this. With the level editor, I was able to make the game's actual levels. That's how you know it's an actually usable level editor and not the Rocket Bits level editor. What even is this? What was I on when I designed that? Alright, I made 15 levels, a lot of which I actually made on my Playdates because of that built-in level editor thing. You know, whoever made this game must be a genius, adding a level editor right into the game? Wow, I'm impressed. After that, I went off to make the two cutscenes, one for the intro of the game and one for the end of the game. And with those put nicely into place, the game is finally done, and playable too, which is more than I can say about most of my other games. If you want to try the game, it's completely free, so check it out if you have a Playdate. Also join my Discord, follow my Twitter, don't follow my Instagram because I deleted it a while ago, and somehow in the time it took me to make this video, I went from 100 subscribers to 2,400. So thank you all very much, that's super cool. I'm not entirely sure what to do, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and goodbye.